the screen. We are live. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited, you guys, to introduce you to Mr. Brad Newman, because he's going to help us learn some fun, easy, cool techniques that actually make us love to follow up. Am I right, Brad?
You hit it bullseye.
Bam. Well, you know, this is, man, I just don't even know where to go with this, because, you know, I've been an entrepreneur for almost 5 years now, and I do know that follow-up is my biggest downfall. And the second would be sales, right? And those are two things that you help people with. You teach them, and you actually did a free training inside of your group, which we're going to invite everybody to join your Facebook group. Oh my God, you guys, wait, hold on. I got to show you, because I watched his video. It's an hour and a half long. And Brad, it took me almost 4 hours to watch the video because of my notes. And because I'm a tactile learner, so I have to actually physically write the notes. And then what happens is my brain absorbs most of what I write. And so I actually take the time, you know, sometimes I don't like to watch long videos because it takes me a long time, but I write everything down, and then my brain absorbs it. And so thank you so much for that great training. We're going to share with you guys how you can get into that free Facebook group. It's absolutely amazing. So first, tell us who Brad Newman is, and then I'll tell you guys why I brought him here.
Cool. So Brad Newman was created, I think it was 14.5 billion years ago during the Big Bang. No, I'm just kidding. Originally, so yeah, I'll do like my origin story of like how I even got into this space of like online business and coaching and sales and just like doing all the things. My first experience with sales was I was actually a trained interventionist back from 2014 to 2017, where during drug overdoses, I lived in New Jersey, and the opioid epidemic was brutal and still is brutal out here. So people would be overdosing almost every single day. And
wow.
the EMTs would be called, they call it Narcan, which is opioid reversal. They'd be brought back to life. They would go down to the emergency room, and then I would get a call from the social worker down in the emergency room to come and intervene and help advocate and persuade them to go seek treatment. So my first sales call was about like helping people see and realize and like convince them or manipulate them or love them to like give up the thing they were literally willing to die for.
Yeah.
For a new way of life, for a new possibility to go seek treatment. And I didn't know that I was doing sales, but like I had objections like, oh, I can't take off of work. I have kids, my family, the stigma of like, what does it mean to be in recovery? I've tried it a million times. The rehabs don't work. Those sound really similar, don't they?
Yes, they all exactly.
They sound
same as clients.
It's the same thing. And I would literally stick in there with them because that sale was literal life or death. So I'd be in the emergency room sometimes 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. I'd get called at 3 a.m. and then I wouldn't leave till 8 a.m. And like, because fundamentally I was not losing that sale, not that sale. And so and it's so interesting, the parallels to our industry is because when I go down to the emergency room, they initially have to consent to see me. They have to say, yes, I will see him. And so as soon as they said yes, there's an opening, there's space, there's access, they have hope. They have
hope. Yeah.
There's some hope. So if they said yes, which a lot of the time happens with our industry, where like people raise their hand to learn more about our services, to get some more information, to see if we can help them solve their problems. And as soon as I get that access, I know there's hope. I know there's more. They want more. They want something to be more useful. So like that's where it first started, was like my sales training. So I did that for 3 years. And then like Linda, kind of to what you do, how I got access to this whole world was I met someone online, Facebook. His name is also Brad. His name's Brad Hart. And
is he the guy you interviewed in bed?
No, that's Ben. I did do an interview in bed, which was awesome.
They were in separate beds.
Yeah, we were in separate beds. Heterosexual men being intimate in bed.
Oh my God. That was one of the best interviews I've ever seen. I actually hung on every moment. It was hilarious. You guys were just totally just two guys talking on the phone, on the video phone. And it was just really cool. So sorry, but I digress.
Oh, I really, really appreciate that. And like what I've learned about sales and interviewing and like was like, how authentic can I be about who I am? Because fundamentally people want to be around me because of me. And I'm authentically me. And that's what the same way I was in the emergency rooms, helping people, persuading people, and loving people to make a decision to go seek rehab for a new way of life. And fundamentally how I got into this space was through a mastermind. Guy Brad Hart has a mastermind. He also helps people build masterminds. He has a company called Build the Mastermind, and he's held 20 masterminds around the world for all different reasons. And it was my first high ticket purchase. And like, I went to a live in-person mastermind with him. And like, it was so cool. I didn't understand anything that was going on. They were talking about entrepreneurship and website building and all lead generation. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but it's really cool. So I threw my credit card down. And I was like, I'm in. And because of that access through that mastermind, through all those people masterminding with the connections, the relationships, the problem solving, I got connected to some people that said, hey, Brad, what you actually do is sales and what we call in our industry high ticket sales. And I think you'd be really, really good at that. So I got connected to some people and like, I sold my way into a business. His name was Scott Oldford. And the way this is going into the follow-up and the outreach, I didn't know this guy, but I sent him a compelling enough message to just spark his interest to just get on a phone call. And all I said was, hey, Scott, I saw that you're looking for a sales rep. I like to have a lot of fun. I like to make worldly impact, and I love making a lot of money. Do you want to hop on the phone and exchange a vision?
That worked.
And he was in. And so like I sold from him in 13 months. I sold with him like $1.5 million worth of packages. And then I met this other guy, Sam Ovens, and he owns this company.
Wait, so that was your first experience actually selling something for money? That was it?
Yes. In this, so like I've sold rental trucks before at like Penske for like $40, but the first package I ever sold was $10,000.
Wow, that is so awesome, because that just shows what I loved about your training. That he did this. He played this sales call that a gentleman had with a woman. I don't know either of the people, but he played this sales call, and so Brad is there. I'll just give a quick synopsis.
Please.
Brad is there playing it for his clients, for them to learn about sales techniques. And it was cool because it was a real call. It wasn't like this professional guy who knew exactly what he was doing, because there were times where during the call, Brad, you were like, no, that was not a good move, which was cool because we got to see what the bad moves were as well as what the good moves were. But there was something that you said there. Okay, here was the very last thing that I wrote here. If they aren't committed to transforming, don't make an offer.
Never. Oh.
And this is what Brad, I got to tell you, this is what I loved about you, is because you really are into transforming. I've had coaches that are it's all about the money. It's all about the money. You got to close that sale no matter what. And that's not my style. Mm-hmm. I'm into actually helping people and changing their lives. And that doesn't feel good for me. And so I love that your style is about actually transforming lives, because when you're going to transform somebody's life, they want to pay for it because it's going to change their life.
Wow.
So, okay.
Linda, thank you. I'm just sitting back and like receiving that.
I've got lots more you can receive. I got.
I mean, it's be really
we'll meet for lunch. We'll meet for lunch because we're in San Diego. So.
Definitely. And whoever's on this live and they can they comment on this?
Yeah.
So if anyone's on this live and they comment me, after the live, I'll actually post a Facebook group and tag you in the video that Linda's talking about. Totally free Facebook group, all the information, everything I make, I give away for free because I want people to get access. Like you need access to the things that work. And so, yeah, fundamentally, what I've learned is like how to transform people. First and foremost, you have to be in your own power.
Yes.
You have to feel really, really good. It starts to be salesy. It So this is fundamental, and we'll get into follow-up. If I teach this to all my clients, am I allowed to curse? How's your audience with that?
I don't curse, but I'm not against it. And my audience will either like you or not based on what you do. But hopefully they'll still like me for what I am.
Okay. I accept you, Linda. I'm going to be authentically me, but I also just want to like just get a gauge. But I use potent language to just like.
He does use the F word frequently. Yeah. Not too. It's not like Gary V frequent, but it is. It's more frequent than I do because I don't use it.
Totally. It's tactful. It's tactful. So the problem is, if you're feeling salesy, it's probably because you're being fucking salesy. And so, like, what does that mean? Like,
because you're not in alignment with who you are, right?
Totally.
Is that what it is?
Totally. You're not in alignment with who you are, and on the call, you're not in alignment. You're not being sensory aware that like they're not asking for help. And so, if someone's not asking for help outwardly, hey, can you help me? And you try to shove something into their life, they're going to be like, oh, no, thank you. Like the most unsexy type of advice is unqualified advice and unsolicited, meaning you don't know what you're talking about and they didn't ask for it.
You need this. Oh, that's one of the worst phrases you can say to somebody, because I don't know about you guys, but the first thing I do is I put up my defense mechanism when somebody tells me I need something. I'm human.
Of course. And humans are fundamentally skeptical, and that's healthy because your alarm will go off. You're like, what do they want? What are they trying to do? They're trying to get something out of me. And like, it's a protection mechanism. Oh, hold on. Because they're not actually in service to you, Linda. They're looking out for them, and they're trying to do something to you to get what they want. And I'm like,
yes.
No. Never. And so like this is what people do on sales calls all the time. And it's not their fault. They've just learned this in ways of like, whether it's like, there's like people who've like set the standard of high ticket sales in this industry. If you ever train any scripting, but fundamentally, why people think it's icky, the second most unsexy type of advice is qualified advice, meaning you know what you're talking about and you've helped people through it. So qualified advice, but unsolicited. So you know what you're talking about, but someone still has not asked you to be like, yeah, you know what? I really want to hear what you have to say. They did not say that. And so I never, ever offer anything unless they're like outwardly, they surrender and they ask. And the reason I fundamentally have gotten this in my bones is because like so I'm in recovery from drug addiction for about 5 years now. And it only was until the time where I started asking for help for my problem that I was open to receive it. Every time someone tried to like jam it down my throat, Brad, you have a problem. Brad, you need to fix your fucking life. Brad, you need to get a job. I was like, nah. So I think that's a really, really helpful point of like, unless people ask outwardly, like through their words.
Because they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Because the reality is the teacher is always there. The student just doesn't see the teacher because they're not ready. They're not open to it. And so that's exactly what it is. So what we are as coaches, as like I have a mastermind program, the Women Action Takers Mastermind, is for those women who are into action, right? But no one's going to be ready to take that action until they're ready. No matter what I say, no matter how bad I know I can help them, no matter how bad I want to help them, they're never going to be ready until they're ready.
Totally.
I can't make anybody ready.
Totally. And this is a fundamental lesson on also, it will drip into follow-up. And I have a lesson on that. And it's called, if you say it, they doubt it. But if they say it, it's true.
I got that in my...
It's fundamental. Fundamental. Yeah.
You said if they say it, it is true.
Right. If you say it, Linda, to the prospect, they doubt it. But if they say it, it's true. So when someone's like, man, I don't know if I'm committed or if I'm ready, what don't I do? Oh, you have to be ready. It's the time.
Because then they start feeling guilty. They start feeling bad. They start whatever. There's a lot of different emotions that can be tied into what you've just done to them.
Yeah, that's me doing something to them for sure. And I said it, they doubt it. You're ready. No, I'm not. I didn't say it. They immediately doubt it. They become fearful. They become skeptical. They become closed off. I'm always looking to open communication. So if someone says, hey, I'm not ready, I just respond with, you're right, maybe you're not. I meet them. This is a lesson that I learned in recovery that has fundamentally helped me save from like the angst of sales call. Is like I meet people at their commitment level. Like I meet them where they're at, and I ask if they want to rise up. So if someone's not committed, I'm like, okay, great.
Do you operate that same premise with people who have already signed up for your coaching? Like if you have a client who's doubting themselves?
Never. No.
Okay. Okay, cool. I was like, oh yeah.
They paid me already to hold, like fundamentally my number one role as a coach is to hold them to the vision that they said they wanted.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they tell me they want something, right. And then I hold it to them. But like,
yeah, like kick them in the pants.
Totally. And so there's actually a relationship built, and like I have permission to do that. But meeting someone for the first time, like we're both strangers. Like who am I? Who am I to tell someone that I know their life best? I'm not committed. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm with you, and maybe we're not a good fit. But like, can I ask a question? Yeah. Like, why aren't you? And I'm not trying to do anything to them, but I'm curious about why aren't you? I get curious. And so that like actually leads into a lot of the follow-up of like, I never just like stuff things down people's throats and like tell them they need to do something. I've learned the art of pulling. I pull people. Everyone wants to feel pulled. Everyone's attracted. It's like mosquitoes to a lamp. And that's it. And have you ever heard of the, I might have said this in the training, have you ever heard the lesson, there's a concept called the lighthouse versus the tugboat?
No.
So fundamentals, can I share it with your audience and yourself?
Yes, please do.
So like, I go really ethereal and conceptual first, because anything that trickles down from there, like you find the words when you embody the concepts and the frameworks. So like a lighthouse versus a tugboat, fundamentally, they have the same job, same duty to get boats who are out to sea to shore. That's the outcome that happens. However, the way they do it is totally different. A tugboat is this one little tugboat that goes out to shore, puts this big boat on its back, and just pulls it to safety. Versus a lighthouse who's huge and stands tall on solid ground and shines its light bright for all the boats to see and calls them in. And so they're not, literally, the difference is that they're not saving anyone. They're standing in their values. They're standing in who they know to be. They're sharing their life and they're inviting them into their life. They're not going out and saving people. And so fundamentally, like, how do you actually do this in a sales call?
So be the lighthouse.
Yeah. And so like, I'll give you practical tips, your neurons practical tips. How do you do this in a sales call? Well, you just let people know who you are. This is what I believe in and this is my values. Can you accept those values? So like how I start a lot of my sales calls is like, hey, I'll give you this exact words how I start all my sales calls, which actually will lead into the follow-up. How you start is how you finish. Is like, I say, hey, I don't actually have an outcome that I want in this call. I have an agenda and a roadmap we'll talk about, but fundamentally what I want out of life and business is that I'm going to be an entrepreneur forever. So what I'm looking for are lifetime clients, lifetime relationships, lifetime connections, lifetime associates, lifetime partners. And so like, I'm interested in exploring about who you are because that's who I am, and see if I can help you in any way. And obviously, if I can help you with some sales solutions, of course I have a solution for that. However, that's not my intention. My intention is to share my life with you authentically because that's what I'm looking for. And they say yes. And then I say, cool. My highest value is that I honor clean and clear and crisp communication with people. I love clean and clear, crisp communication. And so if like something, I don't understand something, I'll just tell you that I don't. Boom. I am now a lighthouse because I'm just like, this is who I am. And are you comfortable with who I am right now? And so they say yes to sometimes they say no, but sometimes they say yes. Like, good. So we're agreeing that the value of this conversation is now clean and clear and crisp communication. And we've also agreed that we're in this for a lifetime. Doesn't necessarily need to be like you're buying something, but we're going to be in each other's or in some sort of way, because that's what we just agreed what we want. That's how you become a lighthouse versus like, oh, you need my program, you need my service. And people will rise because people love large visions and really clear values.
That's awesome. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And there was something that you said, okay, we are going to get into the follow-up part, but this is important. I think these are great tips people can learn, but I wanted to share one of the first things you said, and I was like, oh my God, I have to make sure I watch this whole training because it was an hour and a half long. You said, ask them this question when you get on a call. So this is going to be, this is actually part of follow-up, I guess, right? What motivated you to schedule a call today? What motivated you? And I thought that was so important because oftentimes I would say things like, what are you hoping to gain from this call today? Or where do you see yourself? Or like, you know, what made you decide to get on a call with me? I don't know. I come up with all kinds of weird stuff, right? But that I love that. What motivated you?
Yeah.
That's so cool because that's giving them power. Right out the gate, you're giving them power and you're letting them see that they motivated themselves towards something to change their life right at the beginning of the call. I love that.
Totally. That's such a good pickup. I fundamentally, in every communication in my sales calls, you have to make people, like, because everyone's fundamentally free. No one can make you say anything. Fundamentally, someone can literally torture you, and like you can choose not to speak. So like you're fundamentally, inherently, by God's given right of being in this body, free to use your words or not use your words. So like in my sales calls, fundamentally through my communication, I allow people to be free, in control, and safe. Always. You have freedom, you're in control, and you're safe. And questions like, like what motivated you, right? Puts agency on them of like, you made the choice to be here. But like what's happening right now that like urged you to get on a call with me, a stranger on the internet. So like, I want to know what's going on. But yeah, so that's a really, really good pickup. And fundamentally, what makes follow-up really, really helpful, like, and successful is like, you know how I just like gave my lighthouse speech at the beginning of the call?
Yeah.
How the call starts is how the call ends.
How the call starts is how the call ends. Okay.
So
explain.
If the call starts with values, with mission, with purpose, with intention, then your follow-up, doesn't matter where you are. If you're in the sales conversation, if you're in the close, if you're in the follow-up, you now have both agreed that these values are what you're going to go and make decisions based on. So if someone starts to ghost, what do you think I'm going to say? I'm not going to shame them in ghosting, but I'm going to bring up like, hey, I thought we said that we both value clean and clear and crisp communication. What's going on? I have a basis with which to now speak to them as a human being based on the values that we both agreed on in this relationship together. And so like, why have I gotten so good at follow-up? Because I actually set the call up fundamentally in a different way that allows us to have a relationship based on values, not based on products or service, which people now no one ever ghosts me, ever, because I've committed to them. I'm going to be in their life forever. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's an offer, but like maybe it's a different type of offer. Maybe it's a Facebook Live. Maybe it's I do a sales training in their group, or they do mine in my group, or we do a JV, or we just become friends and we just let it develop. But like we now have a basis from which to follow up. It's meaning clear communication.
I love that. You're setting the intention right up front, and that way, and then if they agree to it, right, then you're both in alignment with each other, and then the conversation can go forward. So let's talk about follow-ups. What would be a situation that would be ideal? So I attended a networking event, And I got a really great vibe from this woman. My mastermind is all women, so I'm going to talk as if I'm meeting a woman that I think is a good fit for my mastermind. And I'm all about relationships, building relationships, collaboration and cooperation, not competition. Those are my things. And so as I'm meeting this person and getting to know them a little bit, I'm like thinking in my mind, I think this person would probably be a good fit in my mastermind, because they have to be a good fit for the mastermind as well as us being a good fit for them. And so I then take their card. Now it's time for me to follow up. Go, Brad.
Cool. Yeah, so the fun number one rule of follow-up is, before you leave that interaction, set an agreement about what's going to happen after.
Okay.
Just like you set up the call. Hey, so we're just going to ask what's going on in your business or your life and where you want to go. And then if you want to work together, let's work together. So it's called a pre-frame. People know what's going to happen. And so before you leave the networking event, just let them know, and ask permission. Hey, is it okay that I follow up with you about what's going on in my life and what's going on in your life? And they'll say yes. You're like, great. So is it okay if I follow up with you tomorrow? No, don't do that. Okay, when's it time for you to follow up? Hit me up, text me on Tuesday. Perfect. Great. And then if you want them to enroll in the mastermind, like, hey, have you ever considered joining a mastermind? Get I call a temperature check, because they might be at the buyer's window, where they're like, you are an angel that has descended, and like you asked, and they're right there. They can be like, oh my God, Linda, I've actually been thinking about this, and I've just been trying to find the right crew. And you're like, great, that's what we can talk about. Or if they say on the opposite side, hey, have you ever considered joining a mastermind? And they're like, no. Like, oh, okay, great, why not? I just think they're like, they're stupid. Me too. Although my business is totally, that's what I do, is build masterminds and change lives. Why do you think they're stupid then? Well, I joined this one mastermind and I didn't get the results. The leader just ghosted me. Got it. Why did you initially join that mastermind? Well, I thought I wanted to have like great relationships. Got it. So your highest value is relationships inside of a mastermind. Yeah. I love the people, and I wish the leader just did that. Cool. So can I follow up with you? No, I just want to share what's going on with my life, and like I actually do masterminds, and I help people build masterminds and all the things. And we have a badass group of women doing it. And as my dad says, when we're looking to like find community, this is what my dad always says. One, no stone goes unturned. And it takes a village to raise a child, and it also takes a community to raise an entrepreneur. So like, that's what I'm Can I like, it totally does. Can I share that with you on Tuesday when I follow up? I gotta go. Always create a container. I gotta go, but can I share that with you? Can I share that with you? You feel an urgency with people where they don't feel like you're pitching, like, hey, I have to go in like 2 minutes, but can I share my life with you on Tuesday? You're gonna be like, yeah, go ahead. So I know there's a lot there, but fundamentally reframe them of like, well, and ask permission, like, can we do this? And then temperature check. Have you ever considered mastermind? Or what does some of your audience do? What do they sell?
The majority are coaches type, like coach type people. There's one who's an artist. You know what? I want to share about her really, really quick, just because she makes paper. She hand makes paper out of your pet's fur.
Whoa, cool.
And then she paints. She does like collage for painting with that paper that she's made using your pet's fur. She's the only artist who does that. Isn't that cool?
So neato. So yeah. Where does she find clients? Do you know?
I think it's mostly word of mouth currently. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm assuming that a lot of her clients, they're not going to be convinced that like they love art or like things of like that nature, like eclectic stuff. So right. Probably a lot of them are like already art seekers. And so I would just ask, have you like what kind of art do you like? And like, do you like exploring new types of art? What's the last most interesting piece of art that you collected or that you looked at in a museum? And why was it Like really, what appealed to you by it? And like really get really curious of like what it is in their world. And then you can be like, cool. So like I do this like weird stuff with like cat fur and it's beautiful. Like, can I show you a picture real quick? Oh my God, that's so cool. Yeah. Are you open to talk more about it and see if like this can like add to your art collection or like furnish your home or like a lot of people I'm like really blowing up right now. Like a lot of people are like gravitating. And they're gonna be, oh my God, yeah. So pre-frame, temperature check them, see like, have you considered? That's a great open communication, soft, curious, inquisitive question to ask people about your services.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I love that. Yeah. So hers, in particular, she does it of like your pet. So she would take your pet's fur and then do what do you call it? A custom portrait of your pet. And it's, there's so many people that are just absolutely love their animals so much that, they want to have that keepsake when they pass. So that's what she does. But I see how that can help her to make more sales or
God.
get to more sales calls.
Yeah, totally. And this is like what I call a legacy play, where like you're creating something. This is what I teach photographers to do: is you're not selling photos, you're selling memories for a lifetime of the most important aspects or moments in someone's life. That's what you're doing. A photo you can just go on your phone, but like they want the experience of the photos and they want the memories for a lifetime. So like you're literally building legacies, and I'll help them create visions where it's like, I mean, today or yesterday, I'm sorry, like I went into an old photo album because I'm back home in New Jersey, and I opened up a photo album of like my great grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
And someone like a photographer had to take those, and now their memory, even though I never met them, their memory is still alive. And so like your client with their cats and their dogs, like it's a legacy play. Like you're creating lifetime memories that not only when the pet dies, but also from generation to generation, this is being handed down. When that happens, you can start freaking charging as much as you want now, because this goes across multiple generations and people are interested in it.
That's true. And she is the only person who does this. And what's cool about it is, like you're saying, it's the paper, like you can feel. So if you can tap into the fur itself, you can remember petting your pet because the fur is actually in the painting. So yeah, absolutely awesome.
Neato.
I love it. So let's talk about the follow-up then in that sort of aspect. So now you've said, hey, I got to run, but can we talk about that on Tuesday when I text you? Okay. So that's where we were.
Yeah. So the best question I've ever had to help people, especially, I do a lot of business, but you can manipulate this and change this however you need. During my follow-up, I do 5% about me, 95% about them. And so the networking event would be like, hey, it's Brad, we met over here. I'm the one with I always try to be a little funny and witty, of like who's balding up top. And I just want to follow up because what's one problem in your business right now that if I could help you solve, that it would make your life a whole lot easier. People love people who are willing to like listen to them about what's going on and provide solutions, not push products. So like that fundamentally, if you Linda were following up with a prospect from a networking event, like, hey, it's Linda from the networking event. I said I'd do it. I'm the one with the masterminds. I know you might have forgotten, so that's why I'm reaching out. Just a reminder, like you can do this a couple different ways, right? It depends how you set it up. One way is like, hey, what's one problem I can solve for you right now that like one would make it worth it for you to hop on a phone with me to talk about, because I solve problems all day long. Or you can just ask them. It's called an offer. I have this thing called an offer. It's called a mission exchange, kind of like I did with that guy Scott. It's like, hey, let's just like hop on the phone, like exchange missions, because like business and entrepreneurship is all about collaboration. And like my belief, we're only 2 millimeters away from what we know. So like, let's hop on the call for 20 minutes and just like get to know each other. So there's two ways you can enter the conversation and make it about them. A mission exchange offer, perfect. Or you just get right down to it of, what's one problem I can solve for you right now? that would make your life a whole lot easier.
Okay. And then, okay, so there, the solution. Okay. I'm typing slower than you're talking. This is cool. So I love how taking us through like one scenario, for example. So now I've texted that person. I said, hey, we met at that networking event. What problem are you having, or what problem are you having? See, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this and get my notes. Or I like the mission exchange. This is perfect for me because I am a connector. I love finding those connection dots of connecting two people together. And so this is perfect for me because I do want to know about their mission as well as them know about mine. So then let's say they say, yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Let's get together. Let's do a call. I like to do Zoom calls. And so let's get together on a Zoom call. And then now we're on the call.
Yeah.
Or do we just keep connecting back with each other and never connect?
I mean, it depends. So fundamentally, this is the sacred cow about follow-up. Follow-up is not a sequencing of language patterns to get someone to do that's not the definition of follow-up. The definition of follow-up is doing tasks, repetition of tasks and things or communication towards a goal until complete. So I'll say it again. Follow-up, what it is a repetition of tasks or communication towards a goal until complete. So it's whatever that means. Like if it's follow up, hashtag follow through, like what needs to happen to come to completion with the communication or the interaction with this person. So I mean, there isn't, you gotta get creative. There isn't like, say this, say this, say this, say this, because then you're robotic and people are like, I don't want to talk to a robot.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you're living under the world of like, oh, follow up, for me, like follow up is like, I'm going to communicate with you and be in a relationship with you until I die, because that's what I agree this interaction's done. Like I'm going to be in your life forever. So like, that's how I engage it, is like, hey, let's hop on a call and just like do a mission exchange. I want people in my life forever. That's literally it. And then they ghost me or they don't say anything. And there's different types of techniques to meet people. You want to say something?
Well, that I love that because you said either they ghost me or don't say anything, or they connect, right? And what is so important about that, Brad, is that you can't take that personally.
Of course. Oh my God, yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't you're already spurring my abandonment issues again, Linda. I told you not to do this in the free interview. My abandonment issues.
Well, it's interesting because I was a people pleaser my whole life until I was about age probably 53. At 51, I started to make a life change, and I was a people pleaser because I grew up in a very abusive, alcoholic household, and everything had to be perfect around the house, and so I was always pleasing everybody, and I used to take everything personally. I took if I had sent you a message, I said, hey, let's connect, and you never ever responded, I would be like, what did I do? What did I say? What didn't I do? What didn't I, I would just beat myself up about it for a long time, weeks, months, sometimes years. Yeah. And so that's one thing I've discovered, throughout this last, several years of my growth and journey, is that I can't take this stuff personally.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely like, so there's two roads to this, because fundamentally, like what humans, fundamental need to live is acceptance into a group, right? We're wired to be accepted because that's how we survive. So there's a survival mechanism going on where like what we're actually doing in business when we do this is like, we're being vulnerable, and we're asking someone at a core level, be our friend. Hey, do you want to be my friend? And they say no, or they reject us. That's like, that's like what's happening. Like I asked Susie to be my friend and she said no. Or like I extended myself and I was vulnerable, because it's vulnerable to do follow-up and outreach, and they said no. And then it's like our core survival mechanisms go into place. Like literally, like it feels like potentially we're gonna die. Like we're not gonna survive if we're not accepted by a group of people. So I fundamentally don't think anything's wrong. I think it's just a survival mechanism and getting in relationship with that. And then there's like I've done work, like I've done a ton of work, being in recovery for 5 years and living in San Diego. There's like plenty of time to do breath work and like hypnosis and meditation and past life regression, all the things. But fundamentally, I was like, okay, I'm doing the work and I need a system so that I can rely back on the system. So actually I never, that's bold. I rarely ever feel rejection again, ever. And the reason that is because I've associated that when I have a full pipeline of people, that I have too many people to talk to about what I'm doing, I don't have time and space to dwell on the one person who did it. It's like, oh, I have literally a Facebook message, like full inbox of people that I need to respond to. There's no space to dwell on the rejection. I just like, oh, they might not be available. And so I go into the next one. So fundamentally, it's a core mechanism of survival. And I need to take responsibility to fill my pipeline. And I made a rule when I was selling was that because I would get off sales calls, and it would end in a no. Oh my God. Like I would have panic before the call.
And my life is over.
Literally, that's how it felt. I would ride or die on the yes or the no. They said yes, I was good and like alive. They said no, I was depressed and hiding in my bed and eating Domino's. Yeah. And so I was like so coded.
You love Domino's. I learned that.
On that interview, I do love Domino's. It was my coping mechanism. So like, I need to feel safe. I need to feel good. I need to come back to neutral and baseline. But I developed a rule that if I ever, like, I need at least 10 people that I'm talking to about my services at all times. So that when I come off a call and it's a no or a maybe, I need to think about it. There's no time to dwell because I have people to answer and get them on sales calls or follow up and continue and just stay in motion and stay in action. So it's a seesaw of like doing the work, of surrender, of acceptance, of forgiveness. And also there's a system as well of taking full responsibility for the pipeline, and like having 10 connections at all times to hedge against, it's like I relate it to dating. It's like when you're dating, when I have 5 girls texting, I'm like, there's so much. Like, I don't care what happens. I just want one date so I'm not overwhelmed.
There you go. Just like dating. I love it.
Just like dating. It's just like dating. Not marriage, unless you live in San Diego and you're a small risk. But it's not marriage, it's dating, where like you're talking to multiple people. You feel more empowered because like you now have choice. You now have options. Not a one person saying no or like they don't answer. You're just like, oh, I have 3 other people that I can talk to right now to share my life with.
So what do you say to those who they're like, I've heard people say this too, I hate follow-up, or what do you say to those who just don't want to get on the phone? And how important is it to get on the phone? I know people keep saying the millennials, they don't like to call it, they don't like to talk on the phone. And if your potential clients are millennials, how do you then follow up with them? What's the reality? Okay. Tell us the truth.
Tell us the truth. So the ugly truth. What's the ugly truth? So I haven't met anyone that likes follow-up. Ever. Ever. I'm like, me personally, there's no charge around it anymore. And it's still a repetitive task that I need to do until completion. So it can feel like a cog in a machine of like, gotta follow up. But what allows me to leave that world and enter a world that's more inspiring and like I'm pulled into it is like fundamentally not calling it follow-up anymore, because follow-up is just a system of tasks. What I call it is, man, I can't wait to talk to Becky about her life again. And so I enter people's worlds. It's not a prospect, it's Jasmine. And she's a mother and she has 3 kids. And she's recently divorced and she's trying to get her life back together. It's not a prospect. What allows me to like be passionate about follow-up is that I'm passionate about people. So I don't treat them as a prospect or a task that I need to do. I create them as 3D people who have lives and stories and wants and desires and fears and and considerations and reservations and love and passions. So that's how I treat them. I don't treat them as like a task. And so like, I'm like, so if we're struggling with humanizing people, then my question would be, well, what is your belief about people? And what is your belief about, like, do you hate people? Are you afraid of people? Yeah. And then I would look there. I would really look there, because that's the work. That's the work. I fundamentally, sales for me, Linda, is just an access point to talk about life. Because of how I started sales was talking about life and death.
You're saving people's lives,
Literally, like literally, not metaphorically. Because I knew if they went back on that street, one more bag of dope, like that was it. They're gonna be either dead or gonna be right back where we started. So it's like, what are we afraid of people? That's typically it. Are we afraid of people? What's the judgment between me and you? What's in between us? What's your complaint about people? Everyone's fucking annoying. Excuse my language. But that might be a complaint for some people. Well,
right.
I don't want them to leave me. Okay. Well, let's just take
right.
Let's get in relationship with that. Because I know, I've seen it. People can like clear that. So when there's nothing in between you and people, follow up is just like, it's like having a party in your message. Like, oh, I love people. I just want to get to know you. And then it becomes really easy.
That's how I am. I do love people. And so I love that. So I want to ask this question. What do you think of this saying? No means not now. What's your thought on that?
No means not now.
I hear this all the time. Keep after them. Keep going until you get the sale, because no just means not now. They will want it eventually. They will cave. You know, all these different terms I hear. What is your thought on that?
So barbaric, man.
I know.
It
doesn't feel good for me.
No, I haven't. What that means is like, that's what I teach people to clear, is what I call sales trauma. I call it PTSD, post-traumatic sales dysfunction, where like we've acquired this old world where it's like 1980s Wall Street, like phone terrorists, like you just get their wallets. No means yes, no means not right now. They're just a number. Like we've been traumatized by just an old way. And it's none of our fault. We were born into it and we learned it. The sleazy car salesman comes about it. So I actually, like, there's a part of me that agrees with no, not now, but not in the way that people think. Because especially during the closing sequence, whatever that means, is what no, not may, like when people feel ugly and icky and not good about it with no, not now, what they're talking about is their product or their service. No one cares. I never talk about, like, I give them the roadmap, but like, no, not right now, what it means for me is like, well, hold on, I don't even care. I'll say this, I don't even care about my program. What we're talking about is saving your life. I had the same objections with rehabs. No, I can't go to rehab right now. I'm not talking about rehab. I'm talking about you being around for your daughter, for her to grow up and for her to have a father. So I don't have that conversation about the rehab, about the counselors. I don't have the conversation about the cost of the logistics of the program, because fundamentally they don't care. And it doesn't really make a difference. It's just a thing. What I want to talk about is like, no, you said you wanted to retire your mom next year. I don't care if you enroll in this program, but let's come up with a plan in order for you to do that. So no, not right now. Yeah, it's ugly when you're talking about your product or your service, but it's inspiring when you're talking about their vision and what they want and what they've declared they want to the world. Then it becomes about them and like taking a stand for their vision and their hopes and their dreams. So yeah, so that's what I take a stand for, their hopes and their dreams, not the product. Who cares?
So this is interesting, because I'm seeing how interwoven the sales is to, the sales conversation is to the follow-up. And this interview is all about follow-up, but I'm seeing that it's really about follow-up and the sales process once you get there, because the follow-up doesn't stop once you've got them on the call.
Bingo.
It doesn't stop there, because you're, like you said, you're building lifelong relationships. So the follow-up continues. It continues forever.
So you die.
Forever.
Forever. So you leave this body.
Yeah. So it's like forever friends.
Yeah.
It's forever. I love your, I don't know how old you are, but I'm going to guess like you're 20. No, I don't know. But you have so much knowledge, and I love how you got started, because I think that for you, this is my own opinion from what I'm hearing, is that you formulated a sales technique totally on accident by learning how to save people's lives. You went in there to save people's lives, which is a sales job. Like when we talk to our parents when we're kids, like, I want an ice cream. No, you can't have an ice cream, but this is why I want it. And you tell, like, you fight for what you want. And what you did is you turned your way of communicating with people into a way of saving people's lives. And then you realize somewhere down the line that, wow, this is the technique I'm going to use in order to save people's lives from what they're going through currently, and to help them get to where they want to be.
Wow.
I love it.
That's deep. I've never even put it like that. I've said this before, that I feel like I'm chosen for this role. I've been chosen to be here and to express in this way. Sales was not I was repulsed by sales. Repulsed. I saw my dad was an entrepreneur for 20 years. I saw him get burnt out for sales. I always saw him as like, when I was younger, it's like, selling again is so annoying. Get away from it. And like, I feel like I'm on a redemption story now to bring a new age of what it means to enroll, to influence, to appreciate someone's world, and to have a conversation about what it is that people want. Yeah, like I didn't even know I was doing sales. Someone had to point it out to me. Like, hey, Brad, what you do with sales? I'm like, I don't know what that is. Like, high tickets, what you sell? Like, I have no idea. I don't know what you're talking about. And they pointed out to me. So yeah, thank you for that reflection.
Yeah, that's how I see it, that like what you've done. And what's cool is you don't know this, but you might be helping other people in sharing that story, like me, helping me, for example, because now I can, when I go to like have a sales conversation with somebody, I can tap into Brad when Brad was an interventionalist. Is that the word? Interventionalist. Because I can then say, I'm going in there to save their life and to change their life. And that's, so I can tap into that humanistic side, right? Rather than them buy my product, buy my, program and all this stuff. Because it's not about that. It's never been about that anyway for me, but learning how to communicate in a way that is different, to have that conversation so that it's not a sales conversation.
Totally.
So it's not sales.
I never have a sales conversation. The conversation I have is I share my life with people, and then I invite them into it. Who I am, what I'm up to, what I'm solving, my mission to the world, who I want to impact, and then I ask them if they want to be a part of it.
I love that. Yeah. So I want to share what Mary Ziola Vega said, and she's covering your face there. Hey, love that I say that all the time. I tell them it's not about if you get my program, it's about, do they want to pay that much for college? See, she actually helps kids who are in high school scholarships to college. So she has a program. It's called Thriving Athletes.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing. I love what she does, and I'm so excited to introduce her to you right here. So if they say yes, I'm like, okay. If they say other statements, then I show them how and educate them. Showing the value is so key. Yeah,
that's a great offer, by the way. I wish I had that when I went to college. I wouldn't have went into student loan debt or as much. I didn't know there was any other options besides federal student loans. So that's great. Yeah. I would love to connect with you, Mary. I have some people in the education space who are advisors to college students, thousands of college students. He's actually one of my clients. Would love to make an introduction.
Yeah, definitely. I'll connect the two of you. And she's on a tour right now, touring around different cities. She'll be coming to San Diego soon here. Mary, if you could if you know the San Diego dates, if you could put them down there, that would be awesome. But, just introducing kids to, scholarship programs, and she's nice to meet you, introducing them to scholarship programs and what her program does. It's absolutely amazing. And she's, her goal is to lower the student loan debt by a lot, like millions and millions of dollars, maybe even trillions. I don't know if it's in the trillions, but anyway, it's an amazing program. So, Brad, what would you say? Oh, again, to that person who is like, I don't want to make phone calls.
Don't make phone calls then.
Don't make phone calls. Don't make the sales. Don't change their lives.
Yeah,
maybe.
well, yeah, I would say you don't have to do anything. Don't have to do it. There's no one's pressuring you to do anything. In this country, I know there's a bunch of poverty, but in this country, like, if you don't do anything, there are programs for you to, like, your kids will be taken care of. They will be fed. There's housing, there's shelter. There's, like, you don't actually have to do anything. You can declare bankruptcy. It's not even that bad. You start over. Like, you can rack up credit card debt, just declare bankruptcy, start over. So, like, it's not even that bad in this country comparatively to other places on earth. So you don't need to do anything. And if it feels like a chore, if interacting with people feels like a chore, it's not sales calls. No way. No way. In a lot of my training, 80% of my training is life training of, like, I'm looking at my sales reps, like, completing the other areas of your life. Like, how's the relationship with your wife? Because how you do sales is how you do life, and how you do life is how you do sales. There's no difference. Sales is just a more intense, quicker feedback loop for how you show up. That's why it's so humbling. That's why people can't stomach it, because they don't want to look in the mirror about who they really are and how they come off to people. Because when you hear no, when people don't, like, do what you want them to do or say things, you're like, it's combative or it's ugly, and it's like, that's how you show up. And it's like, it's really hard and humbling to look at that.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's big.
Yeah. I remember before my sales calls, I used to have panic attacks before my sales calls for a whole year, because I have to get frequent before I can get great. And my fear and skill, the more fear I have, it's because my skills are not good. But every time my skills get a little bit better in communication and understanding where I'm at and what I'm doing, my fear lessens, my fear lessens, my fear lessens. And it took me close to 2 years. I've taken almost 2,000 sales calls in 2 years. So there's a lot of frequency, and, like, I've probably enrolled and registered maybe 500 of them. I've heard more than 1,500 no's. And so, like, there's just, like, a lot of frequency there. And so you get to see patterns, and the more patterns you can recognize, your fear lessens. But fundamentally, I used to look into the mirror to my own eyes to connect with myself before sales calls, because I just want to be connected. I just want to see this person, because I was so nervous. I was just so nervous that I wanted this person to say yes. I needed to make money and have commissions. And so there was just, like, a lot of emotional stuff. But what was showing up was that I was irresponsible with my money. And so I brought myself into a place where I needed to make a sale to, like, fill the leaky bucket. And so as far as I said, it has nothing to do with the sales call. As soon as I hired a CPA, hired a bookkeeper, asked for some help financially, now I have a plan. Now all of a sudden I have money. And now I don't ever come up to a sales call expecting to get paid. I want to get paid. I get paid a lot, but, like, I'm safe and secure in that end, right? When I had an ex-girlfriend, and we were constantly fighting, and, like, I was constantly part of the reason why we were fighting was I wasn't being clean and clear with my communication. I would lead her on. I would say one thing and do another, and it was confusing. And, like, I didn't know I was doing that, but, like, that showed up in my sales calls. The way I would explain my offer wasn't clear. They would say, that sounds great, but later. I showed up as confusing. And so like when I completed the relationship with my ex-girlfriend and like realized like, wow, I caused her a lot of harm because I was so confusing with my language and what I wanted and what I saw out of it, all of a sudden I'm like, I have a new value. It's clean, clear, and crisp in communication. That's what I'm going to create for people. And all of a sudden things start working. So it's like completing your life and looking at the areas of life.
I love that. I love how you were able to tap into a personal situation to see how it was playing out in your business life. And like you were saying earlier too, the business life, then how you're playing there also shows up in your personal life. And so it's a matter of just taking that time. I know you've done a lot of personal development work yourself. And so it's taking that time to explore inside and figure out what's going on, right? So it's not about the follow-up. It's not about the sales. It's about you. It's about you connecting to who you are so that you can show up as who you are. So that way people will be attracted to you, that beacon of light, that lighthouse, right? People will be attracted to you for you being you. I think it's so awesome.
Yeah. I think the best sales training, it's not my program. It's like do 2 months straight worth of breath work, feel your feelings, do like something like landmark form or ALA, like complete the relationships, like your family and like your friends or like the areas of life that like you're incomplete with people when it's hard to be around them. You feel like there's a hidden agenda. You want them to do something or like, yeah, do those 2 things and exercise and get rest and like love people. Like that's the sales training. And then you can learn the sales syntax and the sales process, but those don't stick under the lens of I'm separate from you and me. Like I have a fundamental core belief that my life are the people in my life. My life does not exist nor matter without the people in my life. So when I make my life about you, Linda, and that's what we are right now in this moment. My life is your life. I just want to be connected with you. But when my life is about me and my desires and what I want and my fears, I'm now disconnected from you. I see you as 2D, as disposable. So as soon as I create people as 3D, like, no, Linda, this interview is I'm not doing anything else right now besides speaking with you, listening with you, sharing with your audience. I make you 3D and my whole world and everything just shifts and I actually just see you. And then I can obviously just be like, hey, I have this cool thing that I help people with. Do you want to be a part of it? So it's not the sales. It's like, what's your relationship with people?
Oh man, so good, so good. So Brad, I am all about taking action. Like Women Action Takers is becoming my brand. And so even though you're not a woman, you can still speak to the women.
I love women.
Oh, before we do this, so what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to give the audience one action item they can do, today, tomorrow, or starting next week. Really, it's all about today is what I'm into, but it's one action item that they can do that can help them to get to where they want to be. So before you give us that action item, I want you to tell them how they can reach you as well as to join your Facebook group, which is absolutely amazing. And you got to type, what was the word they got to type in there? Meet?
Just say me.
Me. Type me in the comments, and when Brad adds you to the group, he'll tag you in that video. It's an amazing sales training, you guys. Just listening to it. And here's what I loved about it, Brad, is I got to see your personality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I learned a lot from the call, but I got to see your personality, and that is your beacon of light. And that's exactly what you're talking about today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you.
You're welcome. So how can they get into the group and how can they get in contact with you?
Cool. So if you comment me down below in the comments, I will put the link to the Facebook group, and then I'll tag you. That's it. You can add me on Facebook. I actually don't. I have a lot of pending members right now, so just say me, and I'll post it, and I'll reach out to you, and I'll tag you, and I'll say hello and thank you. And I give all my content away for free. There's not one thing that I have in my paid program that's not out on the internet yet. Because, I mean, there's a big gap between having information and like implementation and making it known, right? There's a huge gap. And if I can help close that gap by getting access, right? And this comes from my days of interventionalism. Like a lot of people didn't have insurance. And so their life was on the line, and what they needed is resources and access. And who was I to hold on to my knowledge and my wisdom and not share it to the whole world? There's 7.7 billion. So yeah, that's the best way, is a Facebook group. And one thing you can do right now to start taking action. Okay, Annie. This is what I teach my clients to do when they're in follow-up, is before you start making new relationships, go back and clean up the old relationships that are incomplete, meaning like it ended icky, or like people who ghosted, or you're no longer in communication or in communication. Like before you start anew, go clean it up. And how do you do that? This will move the needle 80%, is hey, Linda, I take responsibility for ...
That's awesome.
I take responsibility for that this communication didn't go anywhere, and that we no longer talk. Clean it up, and then just go down your list and clean all those up. You can just say that over and over again. Two things are going to happen. One is you're going to be left in your power because you've just taken responsibility, and like you're gonna have energy now because you just went from the world is happening to me to I am happening to the world. Fundamentally, you just made that shift. And then the second thing, don't ask any questions, just clean it up. Second thing, people are going to respond. And now you have another opening to talk about what you do for people. Hey, I really appreciate that. Thanks for taking responsibility. Or they say, oh no, don't worry about it. Boom. They just gave you communication. Now you have access again to learn and appreciate their world and do it in a way that's proper and complete. Hey, cool, thanks for responding. Are you open to talk more about like what's going on in your life? And it's just another opportunity for you. So I take responsibility for it, and then clean up your old leads.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Mary loves it too. She says, that's what I need to do. I need to clean up. Yeah. And then like, so we got Annie and Mary both interested in getting in the group. And then Annie says, I'd always thought that those relationships would be just gone, but looking deep, I realized how much the guilt is keeping me back. Great action item. Thank you. Brad rocks. So what is the name of the group, Brad, the Facebook group?
Super simple, SEO optimized. It's called Sales Coaching for Entrepreneurs.
Sales Coaching for Entrepreneurs. And, you know, Brad, I'm actually going to put this on my podcast, which is the Women Action Takers podcast. You'll be my first male on my Women Action Takers podcast.
Oh, I made it! Yes. Thank you, Linda. That's amazing.
Oh, tell everybody where you're in New Jersey, but what are you there for? This is so cool.
Yeah, so I flew across the country. Me and Linda live both in San Diego to celebrate my great aunt's 96th birthday yesterday. 96. Yeah.
96 years old. I love it. Well, Brad, I want to thank you so much for being here. You are amazing. I don't know how I found you, but it must have been your beacon of light that was shining down on me. And I said, I got to go there. I got to go there. So I did. And you guys, this is just a testament. I just reached out to Brad and I said, hey, can I interview you on my show? And he said, yes. And so here we are today. For anybody who has somebody that they're hesitating and reaching out to, just do it. And that's like why this action take is. It's about taking the action to make it happen. You know, this follow-up is very, very important. And again, I love Brad's action item. And that's, again, to clean up those old relationships and just go in and accept responsibility. Don't say, but you did this and but you did that. No, it's not about that at all. It's about cleaning the air, clearing the air so that you can be clear in yourself, clear in your message. So that way, when you are reaching out and having those conversations with people that might be potential clients for you, or that you might be able to connect with somebody else, that you have the air cleared from the rest of the people who you have blocking you in your life. So thank you, Brad, so much. And you have a great day. Safe travels back home. And we'll get together for lunch when you've come back home.
Cool. Thanks, Linda. Thanks for everyone for tuning in.
All right. Bye-bye. Have a great day, everybody.